Hey, everybody. Welcome back to part two of our top 25 scariest horror movies of all time. Once again, I'm joined with Ken and I forgot your name,
Ashley,
Ashley from Sledgehammer Horror. I am so bad with names. I do apologize.
You're fine.
you're fine.
Uh, and we're up to the bottom half or the scary half of the list. We're up to number 13. So what do y'all have for number 13?
Number 13, we have The Descent. This movie it makes me feel claustrophobic going down into the
Like the catacombs.
type deal, and there's like these monsters down there that they don't know are down there, and they have the spy or like I don't know, like the
Night
dark,
vision.
yeah, the night vision goggles, and that's when you see the monsters, and it's like they're stuck in here and they can't get out. And I think that's the biggest part for me is the anxiety of not knowing where you are, not being able to get out, no light, no sun. So yeah, that one is
Yeah,
our
that was
number 13.
terrifying.
My number 13 is not the whole movie, but it made the list because of the one segment. It's Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, and it's the
Okay.
segment with a cat. When the cat jumps down that guy's throat, I'm like,
Yeah.
cats don't do that. They're friendly.
Mhm.
Yeah, and especially because that was supposed to be Creepshow 3, but they couldn't reach an agreement on the studios.
Yeah,
That would have been a much
Yeah.
better Creepshow 3
than what
than
we got
what we got for
for
sure.
sure.
Um, all right, our number 12, another movie that home invasion is something that's very scary to us,
Because it's
you
so
know,
real.
and I have to protect my wife. I have to protect my kids, like in that situation, and I'm a big coward, so
So I'll be
yeah,
protecting
yeah.
everybody.
But number 12 is going to be The Collector.
Yeah.
Just because the guy is so devious and
It's just
scary
the way
and
his eyes glow, and he's a scary villain for sure.
yeah. So yeah, definitely
And
we got to
he's
go with The
smart.
Collector.
That's like
Yeah, he's
he's
smart
kind of like a slasher that he doesn't talk really or anything, but
and his
he
booby traps are
is
so extensive.
so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
it's like how could you possibly get away from this
He,
guy?
he's like John Kramer on crack.
Yeah.
So yeah, The Collector comes in at number 12 for us.
Yep.
Okay. My number 12 is another supernatural one. I believe it's also PG-13. It didn't have any blood and guts in it that I remember.
Mhm.
But it's just the atmosphere and just like it's another one of those you don't know what is real and what isn't. And this
Mhm.
is Oculus from
Oh
the
yeah, that's a good one.
2013, I believe, or somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah. Great Flanagan movie.
Yeah. I love
Yeah, just
Flanagan. Everything he
I'm
does is
I'm terrified of mirrors to begin with. So a lot of my movies are going to be based on personal fears
Mhm.
yeah.
because it's just that's what scares me.
And then you have that Apple scene with the
Mm.
light bulb.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh,
And you're like, is are they all crazy? Like, is the dad
right,
crazy? Is
right,
the son crazy? Or is this mirror really doing that to them? Like,
right.
even it's kind of like a fine line.
Yep.
Number 11 for us is Candyman, the OG Candyman.
Yeah.
Uh, Again, another terrifying slasher. It's almost like a sad love
Oh, it's
story
totally
that's
a love story.
like a tragic,
Yeah.
a black man loving a white woman and getting
Killed for it.
beaten for it is awful. But
It was
just
always you, Helen.
there's just so many like scary parts of like him being in the wall and where he cuts the little boy's winky off his wiener off. Yeah, that
Yeah.
part's super scary.
Fuck that.
And just like Tony Todd is incredible,
Yeah.
and just the way he talks and tries to get Helen, like
I still
amazing.
think the ending when he's like, "Come back to me," is one of the saddest things
It's so
ever.
yeah, it's very tragic
Oh, it's
and
so
just
damn good.
like the
Oh,
sadness in his voice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Only Tony could portray a character that deep.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
a lot of people look at the Candyman as a slasher, and I don't. Well, the first one I really don't, but his way of emotion throughout that movie just makes him something different. Like it
Then the
really is like a
slasher. Yeah.
like it's a tragedy. It's more of a tragedy film than it is a horror film. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
But there's so many scary parts of it, and the score is so
Oh, Philip
great.
Glass did so good
Yeah,
with that score. Such a great score. So what was that? Number 9,
that was number 11.
11 for
Yep.
us? Okay.
my number 11 isn't scary up to a point. It's actually kind of a horror comedy for the most part. And then you get to the end and you're like, oh shit, that's a dark ending. And it's
Mhm.
Cabin in the Woods. And every time I watch that, I'm just not prepared for that ending because I'm like, did they really just end the world because they
Yeah.
were fucking selfish? It's just like, wow. Please go to hell. Thank you.
Yeah, quickly too.
Yeah.
Number 10 for us is going to be The Conjuring.
Mhm.
We went back and forth between The Conjuring or The Conjuring 2. When it comes to being scared, the first time we watched it, I would say The Conjuring beat it out. When it came to which film we prefer, I would say The Conjuring 2.
Yeah.
At least for me, I can't speak for you. I prefer The Conjuring 2 over The Conjuring, but there's something about that first Conjuring movie that the first time you see it, you're just like, wow, this is something special.
Mhm.
You know, like this really, and obviously look at what it's done, like the franchise that it's created.
Oh, it's
It's
a
its own
complete
universe.
Yeah.
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 And there's just so many moments in this first film. Look what she made me do. Like
That got me.
Oh,
Oh
man,
yeah.
that's so good.
Yeah.
Such a good scare. And then like, like the hide and clap up on top of the wardrobe.
Mhm.
So many different things. When she's standing there and she's talking to Patrick,
Ed,
Ed.
Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, and you see the feet
feet are swinging
behind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they're not. Yeah, that's so creepy.
Yeah, so good. But yeah, absolutely. The Conjuring has to be on our list. And like I said, prefer The Conjuring 2 as a film. The Conjuring 1 probably had the scarier atmosphere to us.
Yeah.
My number 10 has already been on your list. It's the original, The Exorcist. It's a little higher on my list just because I wasn't Catholic, and that movie made me afraid to go to a Catholic church. It's like, well, if that's what they're doing, I don't want nothing to do with them.
Right.
No,
I'm
thank
out.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is. It's a scary. It's still to this day it holds up.
It does. I mean, like I said, if you look it up, it still is on top of many lists. And how many years later?
Talked about your fear of mirrors earlier.
Yeah. So number
9.
we have Poltergeist 3, and the use of mirrors and Poltergeist 3 is so awesome. Just like you're looking and then the person in the mirror is doing something different. I think that is terrifying. And they use the mirror so great in that movie.
And another jump scare that I really love in this movie when they're in the elevator towards the end of the film in the beginning of the third act. And, they're like, this wasn't Carol Ann's fault. And then Reverend Kane pops out of the mirror. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And the elevator goes on the fritz. Like that whole moment. Or like as a kid when Carol Ann touches the mirror and they grabs her and we're back.
Yeah.
And it pulls her up the mirror. Like, oh, it's so damn good.
Yeah. This is actually one that him and I both agree on. It's our favorite.
It's our favorite in that franchise. Yeah.
And that is a very
super hot take.
Yeah.
That's a boiling hot take.
Nobody seems to like that
we prefer part 3 in the whole franchise. So yeah, Poltergeist 3 at number 9.
My number 9 is sort of a companion piece to number 10, The Omen. And overall, the movie isn't all that scary. It's creepy and atmospheric, but it's that dog scene in the where all the dogs in the cemetery. I have to turn the movie off or look away every time it gets to that scene.
Yeah, deep scary scene. I keep lying because number 8 is a new movie too. I forgot how new some of these movies are.
Yeah.
This is a foreign film that's being remade by Blumhouse to come out this year, and it is Speak No Evil. This movie, I was so mad at the end of this movie.
This movie will have you thinking.
I thought about this movie for weeks, and it's what sucks about this movie is, it's a foreign film. This movie is 90% in English.
Yeah.
And like the ending of this movie, I was just so genuinely pissed off.
Yeah.
Like so angry. I was like, why didn't you do something?
Well, and just the line because you let us.
It's
like
it's a perfect line.
Yeah,
perfect line.
It definitely makes you think about all the things that you'll make yourself uncomfortable for to make somebody else comfortable.
Yeah, how far will you go to let yourself be uncomfortable to please somebody else?
Yeah.
And it's deep and it's dark, super dark. And like I said, an amazing ending. Because of what it is,
something that you're gonna,
but you're not gonna want to rewatch it.
If it's not something fun that you're gonna put on, it's very heavy.
Nothing dark about this movie. A lot of times we watch horror because it's fun.
Yeah,
a good slasher or something like that. You have a lot of fun with it. I don't
This
think it's
movie is
possible
not
for
fun.
anyone to have fun
No,
with this
it's
movie.
not
It's not
fun
a
at
fun
all.
movie whatsoever, but
But it definitely keeps you thinking.
it's a movie I would definitely recommend everybody to watch once.
Yeah, for sure.
Just watch it once. That's all you
You'd
need to do.
probably be mad at us because a couple of people that we've asked to watch it were like,
One of my
really?
buddies called me, Jordan.
He
He called me. He's
like right after, like,
yeah,
what
he was
the
like,
hell?
hey man, I love you, but what the fuck? Like, I hate you right now. So I was like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, speak no evil. I was like, oh yeah, bro.
Like, sorry.
Told you.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend everybody watch it at least once, but probably not gonna want to watch it again after that.
Yeah.
But number 8 for us, Speak No Evil.
My number 8 was a lot scarier before the internet came on the scene, and we didn't know it wasn't actually based on a true story. But when we thought it was, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974 was one of the scariest things I'd ever seen, because I was like, Jesus, they never caught that guy.
Rumor has it he's still in a field somewhere swinging that chainsaw.
Probably is. That's why we don't go to Texas.
Yep, that's why we steer clear.
Yeah. We're at number 7. So this is actually filmed in our home state. And it is It Follows. Even though it makes it look really crappy.
Anything filmed in Detroit looks
it makes
like
it
shit.
looks like, yeah.
It's irritating.
But this movie, this is another one where it's like, is what you're seeing real? Is it not real? Are you crazy? Nobody else can see it. Yeah, the big guy jumping out, that one definitely got me.
A lot of similarities with It Follows and Smile.
A lot of dread, a lot of like horrible feelings just because of what this young lady went through, and it's very like tragic at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. This is absolutely a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of horror is. I feel like a lot of horror is a tragedy wrapped up with fear.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is absolutely a movie that I feel is just like tragic and sad and heartbreaking, and how you can ruin your life.
Well, just watching her spiral after it all happens, and like she, is sleeping all the time, doesn't want to eat, and it's just like she's a victim.
Yeah. Oh, she's absolutely a victim. We've talked about it before, but there's a lot of undertones in this movie that could be about sexual assault.
Yeah.
The R word that is a lot grosser that we don't like to use. Incest, molestation. There's a lot of undertones with It Follows that you could take and put to your own, traumas. And I think that's what makes it scary is there's no like, this is what this is how it is, this is how it ends. Everything for this movie is open to interpretation, and however, what kind of trauma you've had, you can relate to It Follows.
Yeah, for sure.
My number 7 is it's a sort of similar type of movie to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this one it wasn't the imagery that got me, it was just that those final like 15 minutes of the movie, I was just like, can you just please get to safety, please? And it's House of a Thousand Corpses, and spoilers, she never gets to safety.
There's no safety.
And I was just like, please don't do that to me.
Yeah. Another dark movie.
Mm-hmm.
What are we on, number 6?
Yeah, number 6 is a Shudder original, Z.
It's called Z.
This is a movie that we just
stumbled upon.
We were
bored, looking for something to watch
through Shudder, trying to find something that we've never seen.
We just saw something called Z,
and we're like, okay, let's check it out. Didn't have any expectation at all, and it was genuinely scary.
So good.
Kind of like an imaginary friend type. That
isn't so imaginary.
Yeah, because it kind of like went on to her son.
To her son.
Yeah.
But this movie impressed me so much after watching it that I reached out to the director.
Yeah,
to let him know.
Brand, actually, we haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah, I reached out to him just to be like, yo, I love what you did with this movie. I would love to have. And we brought him on My First Horror Movie to talk to him about how horror started for him. And this was like genuinely the minute this movie ended, I was hitting up Twitter, like trying to get in contact with him just because of how impressed I was with this movie. Yeah. So if you guys haven't, I know it's Zoltan from Dude, Where's My Car, but Z on Shudder. Fantastic.
Definitely check it out. It's a great movie.
Another dark ending.
Yeah, like and that bathtub scene.
The bathtub scene is fantastic.
Got me.
But this movie is another movie that is completely open to interpretation.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 6 is another Stephen King one, and this one I did see it in the theaters, and it is The Mist. And overall, the scariest two parts for me was just how quickly everybody joined the cult. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm dead if I go outside. I'm dead if I stay inside. There is no hope. And then at the end of the movie, you're like, wow, there really was no hope.
What's that? What's that bit? Mrs. Carmody.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Carmen. Yeah.
Oh.
But
She
on the flip side, we did get Ollie.
we
And
did-
Ollie was the shit. I loved
shoots
Ollie.
her in
When
the
he
head.
shoots her.
if it would have been any other way,
I
I'd
know
go
Ollie.
Ollie.
That's why I said thank you.
Yeah.
I love the ending to The Mist. Like this is a genuine sledge argument.
Yeah, I hate the ending. I feel
This
like
is a 19-year husband and wife quarrel that we
I feel like
have.
they could have ended it differently, but
Nope. Perfect ending.
yeah, you like dark endings.
I do like dark endings.
Number 5.
This is not a horror movie.
This is totally a horror movie.
This is something Ashley and we don't agree very often, and I think that's what makes us the perfect couple.
We do not agree on
You know,
anything.
we don't agree, so that makes our love stronger because we don't hang out with the same person all the time, and we're completely different people. But we both do agree this 100% is a horror movie.
Yeah. So it's What Lies Beneath. I feel
Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer.
it's very it has a lot of like psycho.
If you say this isn't a horror movie, then you can say Psycho's not a horror movie.
Because I feel like they paid homage to
A lot of
Psycho.
homage to Psycho in this movie with some of the shots they did,
Mhm.
a lot of the bathroom stuff they did. This was Robert Zemeckis, the guy that did Back to the Future. This was his interpretation of Psycho, in my opinion, with just adding a different twist to the end. They still got a good twist to the movie, just not that he was Norman was the killer, he's mom. It's not like that,
Well,
but it does have a similar
where
twist.
it's like
but
it's the neighbor's doing it. This is what's happening, and then
don't spoil it.
I'm not
People
going to
haven't seen
spoil it, but just the twist of it is amazing. And there is this one scene where she's watching the neighbor with her binoculars.
She looks away
and she looks back up
and
and
can't find him.
Yeah, and then he's like right there.
Yeah, she turns and he's looking right at her.
Stuff like that, like in
it's
summer.
so good.
That's summer of '89. We should
Summer of '84
or '84.
No.
Yeah,
we could honorable mention Summer of '84 just because that movie's
of
perfect.
that scene too. Stuff like that when you get caught like peeping on people.
Yeah. I do want to say for the record, before we move on, with this being number 5, we did just mention Summer of '84. I genuinely think Summer of '84, it's the only movie through Sledgehammer Horror that we've ever reviewed that I've given a 5 skull review to. I've never done that before for any other movie. Summer of '84, I was not only comfortable giving that a 5 skull review, I was honored. That shot up to my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time.
It's an amazing movie for sure. It's great.
My number 5 has already been on your list, and I actually got a true story to go with it. It is The Ring. And like I said, I saw it 3 times in the theater, and we had a TV that was broken, and it would just randomly turn on. And I rented The Ring. You know where this is going, but it gets worse because we're at my friend's house and we're watching it, and in the middle of the movie, I'm getting the worst bloody nose I've ever had, and I'm like, uh-oh. And then I go home, and then I'm lying in bed, and the TV turns on, and I'm like, no. I took that TV to the dump the very next day. I was
I totally
out of my house.
I'm just glad Samara didn't emerge from
Yeah. A rumor is that's frowned upon.
Yeah.
Number 4 for us, and a lot of people look at this movie and they don't even give it a chance. They're just like, oh, that movie's gross. Like, oh, that's disgusting. No, it's a movie that the first sequence,
the first one,
is an art film to me, and it's a very scary, very well-made movie. And this is The Human Centipede. Again, like the tone of the movie, people that have never seen this movie are just gonna go, oh no, that's like, gross, that's disgusting.
They're gonna poop in my mouth, and
some people might be into that.
Yeah,
but most people are gonna be like,
see a lot of that.
You don't even see the centipede very much.
No, you don't. It's just more of like this psycho that is
trying to create the perfect specimen.
Yeah.
And what, like he tried it with dogs first.
And he's terrified.
And he's just cold.
Yeah.
Like the first guy, he's like, unfortunately, you're not going to make it. And then he just kills the guy.
He wasn't a match.
He wasn't a match with their blood type or whatever. Like, again, the first movie to me is definitely not as the franchise goes, it becomes way more disgusting and vile, more for shock. than being a good movie. But the first one is just, it's a fantastic, fantastic, well-made, scary movie.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 4 was also earlier on your list, and it's another haunted house movie, and this is The Conjuring. And this is one of the few movies that was so scary it took me 3 days to watch it because I had to take some breaks. I had to pace myself.
Yeah.
I was like, no, not in one sitting.
Right.
And it was it was when they turn around and she's on the door bed closet thing. I'm like, okay, I had to turn the movie off, and I'm like, we'll come back tomorrow and see where this goes from here.
See, it's funny because for me, the one when he's walking through the house and all of a sudden that girl just pops out. She said, "Look what she made me do!"
Yeah.
Like that scene to me just fuck. Oh my god, that got me like, oh god, like whoa, holy shit.
Got the whole
Yeah.
pumping.
So number 3.
So number 3 was terrifying for me as a kid just because
I didn't know if it was real or not.
because we didn't really have the internet to look stuff up, and the marketing for it was phenomenal.
You'll never have another movie marketed the way this movie was.
No, word of mouth is
The best.
And it definitely got around as when I was a kid, and I completely believed that this was real, and it freaked me out. And that's the Blair Witch Project. It another like found footage type movie, and it definitely scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. So
yeah, and I for the longest time this was the highest grossing movie of all time when it came to just gross versus what they put into it. So yeah, I agree. I love the Blair Witch Project, and it scared the shit out of me the first time I had seen it.
Okay. My number 3 has also already been on your list. And it's another one I watched when I was way too young to watch it. It is The People Under the Stairs. And it is the only movie I've ever seen that I swore I will never revisit or review on my channel. I'm just like, nope, I'm just like, y'all watch it if you want, leave me out of it.
That's her favorite. Like she adores that movie.
I do.
That's what's so great.
I can't do it. That movie traumatized me. It was just like, oh my God, I can't believe my parents let me watch it. Oh.
Right. Number 2 is another newer film, not too new, but it's Get Out. Now with me being a straight white man, it's hard for me to really go into depth about a movie of this nature, and I get that.
Yeah,
I understand and I respect that,
but still
the idea of the sunken place,
that's
terrifying. And just a lot of the stuff that happened throughout this movie is just so terrifying, and because of even like the gaslighting of the dad, even though I love his character, like not his character but the actor. Like you were talking about The Cabin in the Woods, he was great in that as Sitterson. You talked about he was great in Billy Madison as Eric. But I would have voted for Obama for a third term. Like the just gaslighting he does.
But like they make it uncomfortable for him on purpose.
Right.
And just thinking like you don't have any control of your body and you're just looking at this window and somebody else is controlling you. Like
awful.
That's horrible.
Awful.
Yeah.
So number 2 is Get Out.
Get Out.
My number 2 was my number 1 until very, very recently. And it was just the scariest movie I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I went back to rewatch it as an adult, and it was still scary. And it's not one people think of when they think of scariest movies of all time, because it is allegedly Steven Spielberg, but it's Poltergeist from 1982, the year I was born. And it just so much about that movie just does no, it doesn't sit well with me. And then when you start reading about the behind the scenes and everything, you're just like, well, now I know why I don't watch that movie.
Right. Very uncomfortable movie.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable. Number 1, like I said, while this may not be the scariest, it was hard for us to put this in the list of 25 just because you watch them at different points of your life, and what I thought was scary at 14 probably wouldn't be scary to me now.
Yeah.
But this one I think universally scared us when we watched it for the first time together back in 2008.
It's another home invasion movie. And I think it's very scary.
And it's The Strangers.
Yeah.
I think that The Strangers is one of those movies that obviously it stood the test of time where we're already getting a remake less than 20 years later.
Yeah.
And I think that this movie really it holds water. Like and nothing I've never had a line, and it's become cliche now, but why are you doing this? Because you were home.
Yeah.
Is one of the
Like
best lines
there's no other
of all
reason
time. Yeah, and there's no reason. You didn't do anything wrong. You're here.
besides you're here and
That's
we
what-
want to kill you.
Yeah. So, and there's just so many different parts of this movie, like where she's in the shower and Sackhead's just right outside
Yeah.
looking at
Which
her.
you're so exposed when you're naked
Oh,
and in
yeah.
the shower. Like I
That's
think
when you're the most vulnerable.
Psycho definitely
What Lies
played
Beneath.
What Lies Beneath. They definitely played on that. So
And yeah, there's the vulnerability of this movie, and then like how they're on the outs because she doesn't want to get married, and then she does want to get, and then he shoots his friend in the fucking face. Like
very sad.
so many great moments in the first Strangers movie that we both love, and had to put that on the list just because I remember being scared the first time we had watched that together. And just home invasions, like I said, they scare me.
Mhm.
I don't ever want to hurt people, but if
It's
someone
just-
comes in this house, I'm going to.
Yeah, just a real concept like that. It's creepy, I think.
Right. So yeah, number one for us, The Strangers, 2008.
Mhm.
Okay. My number one, I'm not sure what year it came out, but it's probably the newest movie on my list. I haven't confirmed, but it's the only movie I've ever watched where in the middle of the movie I had to stop and take my anxiety pills because I was
Mhm.
about to have a panic attack in the middle of the movie. And the only reason why I didn't take a break is because I was live streaming the movie. It's Hereditary.
Oh, okay.
That movie
Yeah.
just it messed me up.
Mhm.
I mean, that's one of those movies that universally either people love it or people hate it.
Yeah.
I
There's really
I think we love that movie, but we didn't put it on the list just because the impact it had on us was more about the shock than the scare.
Right. Yeah.
But there's so many the dinner scene in that movie is what they should teach at acting classes.
Toni Collette is just a goddess. Like
All three of them. Like in that, I mean, Toni Collette is definitely the best of the bunch in that group.
Yeah.
But you have the dad that's just the quiet in denial.
Well,
The
he's just
brother
trying
that's
to
the cocky, shitty.
keep it,
keep
the
the
family
peace.
at ease. Yeah.
Then the shitty brother that's just you look at me with that face on your face, like, oh, she's so good. Like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. And like when they throw the book in the fire and the dad lights on fire.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's so many moments in this movie where you just like the dad just happened when the brother's in school, they start smashing his head on that
Yeah.
desk, and he
Or the-
really busted his nose open. Like when he was doing that, like he went so all out in that role that he busted his face open.
That's commitment.
Slamming his head on that desk. Fantastic choice. Like that's a great movie.
Mhm.
It had me from the very opening shots. I was like, okay, this movie is definitely going to affect me, and it did.
Yeah, for sure.
I still love it, but oh my goodness, it just really messed me up. I was just
I'll never put my head out of a car window with my high brother again. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, appreciate y'all being on the channel.
Absolutely.
And,
Thanks
thank
for
you for
having
inviting
us.
for the conversation and the reviews and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.